Good morning, everybody. My name is David Rothstein. I'm a wedding band leader here in Chicago, and I'm glad that you guys were able to join us today. This is part of our Facebook page called Unplanned, which is designed to help wedding vendors kind of figure out how to manage their businesses and make their way through the COVID situation that we're all dealing with, as well as finding some new ways of looking forward to next year and how we can really grow our business, kind of looking forward now that we have a vaccine and there's at least some light at the end of the tunnel here. So we will go ahead and get started. And I'm absolutely thrilled to talk to one of the most important people in the wedding industry and the events industry, and Julie Novack from Partyslate. Thank you so much for joining us today.
So happy to be here. I'm a big fan of your music.
Thank you so much. And
I'm always in awe of musicians in this industry because I have no musical talent. So
everybody's got their different thing to contribute.
I'm great at PowerPoint. So
there you go. Everybody's got their skills. And for those of you that are not maybe as quite familiar with Partyslate, although majority of you likely are, it is a wonderful, wonderful place where vendors and brides and grooms, as well as event planners, can really go and take a look at people's works in a different kind of way. We're all familiar with Wedding Wire and the knots and Googling around, but I think Partyslate is not only the way they have everything organized, which is, I think, is much more intuitive, but the use of photography is such a big part, it seems, of what makes Partyslate special. So, Julie, before we get into some of the COVID stuff, maybe tell me a little bit about what was the inspiration for you to start Partyslate, and what are the aspects that you feel are really different than a lot of the other things that are out there?
yeah, I mean, I was planning large scale events. I was a digital agency, leader, and I had a big team over at a company called Razorfish, and before that, agency.com. But I always believed in the power of events to really inspire people. So whether it was a recruiting party or a sales incentive trip or just a holiday party to bring employees together, or the nonprofits and fundraisers I was involved with, I was always looking for ideas to raise the bar. And because I was a digital person, I started before people even knew what the internet was. I've been doing this a long time, which dates me. I could not find a really curated inspiration source for events. Yes, there were the wedding blogs, but they seemed to be more focused on dresses and hairstyles and rings versus the actual event inspiration. Fast forward many years, I've been thinking about this idea. This was like 10 years in the making. And I redesigned a kitchen. I used a website called Houzz, Houzz. I became obsessed with Houzz, like the interaction of all these high resolution photos, how I could filter and curate what I was looking for. But more importantly, I actually found a kitchen designer through Houzz by looking at their work. And so I thought it was that connection between the inspiration piece and the people that actually did the work that was missing in Pinterest, that was missing in, some Google Images, some of the other places I was looking. And so, it took me a long time. I put a business plan together. I was dreaming out loud to everyone. And I said, I want to build this amazing, Houzz for the events industry. And with my digital experience, I kind of had the know-how and the business expertise, but I had never done a startup before. So this was, a scary thing. So I talked about it. I put the plan together. I talked about it. I mean, I remember at cocktail parties that I have a few drinks. I'm like, I'm starting this company called Partyslate. They're like, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? And I'm like, I basically took me about 3 years. I finally quit my job after my husband's like, you got to go do this. I'm like, oh my God, I do this. So I raised some friends and family money. I tapped a longtime colleague, John Harrow, to be my co-founder. And we started on our journey 5 years ago to build really our goal is to build the largest event inspiration platform in the world. We believe we're on our way, connecting people planning these large scale events of all kinds to people that really can bring their vision to life. And that's everything from, music to lighting to, the best event planners, venues. And what we think we're different is, the Wedding Wire and the Knot, there's a ton of content there, but really we're about event inspiration. We're about how can you transform that venue into something like the bar mitzvah that you want to plan, or the gala, or the wedding, and make it so compelling that they want to reach out to you to learn more.
That's really a great element, because sometimes we forget as vendors is that the people that are buying our services have never bought this stuff before.
Never.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have the curse of knowledge in the fact that we know so much about weddings, we know so much about music or photography or videography, that we assume that everybody else does too.
Yeah. And
And
they
so,
really are shocked about how much things cost, how much work it takes. And so we try to write educational articles and help people understand that this is definitely, not an easy thing to do. And if you've never done it before, you're really going to want expert help to help you bring your vision to life. And so that's really what we help people understand. So we're very pro planner, because people don't understand how much work it is. But if they don't have a planner, we want to make sure they connect with really great event professionals, whether it's the people at the venue or people in any of their providers that can help them understand, what it takes to really plan a beautifully executed event.
and the inspirational photos, or should I say aspirational photos, I think are one of the most important things too, because then you can see, what's possible.
Yes.
That bridge, I think, is something that's missing.
Yes.
You see all these incredible things, somebody in Rome that's having all these, that we flip through at 2 o'clock in the morning. But how do I get there from
Yes.
living in a suburb of, New Jersey? How do I make my wedding to get to that point? And so
some people are just, like dreaming and inspiration, and that's okay. But really, we find people on Partyslate are leaning in and actually spending, 4 to 10 minutes on the site, really, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for internet time, that is a lot. Really digging into photos, saving things, saving them to Pinterest. We love Pinterest. I mean, Pinterest drives a ton of traffic to Partyslate. Pinterest is just more like, saving anything. You're not going to find your venue on Pinterest, but you can use Pinterest, and hopefully it will guide you to Partyslate in some of your searches, because we have hundreds of thousands of images that we've pushed out to Pinterest as well. So it's part of our ecosystem.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. And I think it's important, the people sit down, the couple sit down before they even go to anything. They go to Partyslate, or sit down and figure out what kind of wedding is right for you.
Yeah.
Because you'll see on Partyslate and on other sources, all kinds of different weddings. Do you want to have 300 people, 30 people?
Yeah.
You want to have, what ethnicities do you want to include? Do you want to have it super formal? What do you want to have at a loft? Do you want a hotel? And otherwise, sometimes it's like when you're going out to, let's just go out to this place for dinner, and then like, hey, what if we do get Chinese? How about pizza? And then you're driving all over the place, and then you get pulled all over, and then it's very difficult to have a clear idea. But the better sense of and you can be a little bit open-minded, but if you as a couple can sit down and really get a better idea what the feel and vibe of your wedding is, then when you go to Partyslate, you can say, well, this is not for us, but this is something that fits into our thing,
And we want to help them. The name Partyslate, people have asked me, is like, where did the name come from? Party is the kind of macro term for really all events. It's, we don't want it to be just weddings. We have half of our traffic is corporate, gala, mitzvahs, etc. But we want people to come in with a blank slate. Maybe they have some preconceived ideas, but you can find the style, elements of your party. When I planned my wedding, I didn't know I need to think about, seating in reception area for people that don't want to stand the whole time. Like you don't know, you haven't done it before. So we want you to think about all the elements. You don't have to have the answer, but if you get a sense for what you like, when you do talk to your team, it's going to make it easier. And I know people have a love-hate relationship with Pinterest. Like, oh my God, I want this, and that's $1 million event, and my budget's 60,000. Like, I totally get that, but you can pick up elements, and that's your job as a salesperson or a coach to get them to, well, you have this budget, just so you know, this is probably $1 million event. But I think what you're saying is you like this type of flower, these textures, these, you can pick up, because you can't stop people from dreaming. The cat's out of the bag, right? In the old days, it was magazines and ripping pages, and now it's Pinterest, it's Partyslate, it's Instagram. So they're going to do that no matter what. And I think it's the job of the professional to take the elements of what they see that they like, and then bring that to a level of what they can afford or what they're really trying to communicate. So that I've heard many people say, oh, I hate Pinterest. Like, it's out there. You can't make it go away.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
have to work with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea of taking the elements of what is it about that wedding that you love, and
Yeah.
you do a different version of that too, and
Exactly. And you don't want to copy things exactly. So
oh,
you're looking for inspiration. You're looking to create kind of a mood board. And so we created the concept of an idea slate on Partyslate where you can just kind of save things you like and then share it with your planner or share it with your team. Again, just as a starting point, or use Pinterest. Like we're not trying to change everyone's habits here. You can save Partyslate photos to Pinterest. You can really use it any way you want. But our goal is that curated inspiration connected directly to the amazing photographer, caterer, entertainment company, lighting company, so that they know, who were the amazing professionals behind this. We call it a work of art. I mean, these events are really, art. And who were the amazing people behind it, including, the canvas being, the venue. The venue is such an important piece of the event.
yeah, absolutely, and I love that. I mean, it can be a really fun process, and wedding planning doesn't have to be like crazy stressful. It can be a really fun place, and if you are, want to get a couple of glasses of wine, not too much maybe, but go to Partyslate and just have some fun with it. Enjoy the process and like see what's possible and see what other people are doing, and it may inspire something. Well, I never thought of that, or I never thought of this,
Yeah.
and it can be
Yeah.
a
And we're
really
also trying,
fun process.
I think so too. And I also know many event professionals, in venues that are overwhelmed with digital marketing. Like they have their sales job, they have customer management, they have proposals to create, and they, oh my gosh, how do I do all of Instagram, Pinterest,
Right.
everything they need to do. So what we tried to do is kind of put digital marketing in a box. And that goes back to my 20 years of digital agency and consulting experiences. How do we simplify the concept of search engine optimization? How do we simplify the concept of content marketing and all these elements that are so important? And so through your Partyslate profile, whether you do it starting with a free profile or you need help, with our white glove service, we have all different levels of service. We can create kind of like digital marketing in a box. So you have your portfolio of photos that have all your credits. And then when you credit the band, you credit the photographer, your photos go to their profile page, kind of like a LinkedIn kind of component. And then you have your video gallery. You have a way to add testimonials. That some of these are premium features. Of course, we need to keep in business and keep the lights on. So we have some features that are kind of gated to enhance profile. But either way, it's super easy to create a very compelling digital presence. Yes, you have your website, but this is a built-in marketplace where people are actually leaning in to plan a party, and you want to be there at that moment when they're planning.
Yeah, so all the vendors out there, and there's some people that are on this right now. Be sure to go over to partyslate.com, snoop around, and we will share Julie's contact information so that you guys can reach out to her and sign up for a free or a premium profile. I just actually signed up recently for a fancy profile, so I've been
Get the
building that
enhanced
out.
profile.
It's been
So,
fun.
yeah.
Super
Yeah, we
easy
have
to use, very
I
intuitive.
think, yeah, the testimonials and all the other things, it's just another proof point that you're, a really great experienced event professional. We always say your photos and videos are your kind of social proof that you are doing these levels of events and you're experienced. And I feel like on Instagram, it's a little bit easier to kind of like fake it till you make it type thing, like to kind of make this amazing feed. On Partyslate, your experience really shows because it's your real photo portfolio, not just like images. It's like, this is what we have actually been able to deliver, these 20 events of all different styles, of all different types, etc. So we want to, almost like LinkedIn, when I go to interview someone, I always go to their LinkedIn, right? I'm not going to meet with someone without going to their LinkedIn. It's almost that like, okay, I got to okay, 20 years experience, these type of companies, we have, these many overlaps, on Partyslate, it's a similar thing. Like, oh, wow, they've worked with all these amazing event planners and, they have, all these incredible photos and videos. So it's just meant to be an easy way to put your image out there without hiring an expensive developer for $10,000.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that now one of the advantages of technology getting better and better, it should be simpler. it shouldn't
Yes.
be more complicated. Back in the day, you'd have to call some, your website guru to
Yeah.
change 3 letters on your website and wait 10 days, and he charges per minute. And
Yeah.
now, using different software programs, Elementor is one I use, and you can do a lot of the stuff yourself. And Party
Exactly.
Slate is the
And
same way. And it's
And
just
again, we are not meant to replace your Instagram. We're obsessed with Instagram. We have, 120,000 followers. We're verified. We get a ton of brand awareness from Instagram. Instagram complements. It's almost higher in the funnel. But when you're really leaning into Plan a Party, you kind of move away from your Instagram app and you start Googling things, top planners and top event planners in Chicago, wedding bands, all these different
right.
things that lead you to platforms like Partyslate. And of course, there are other wedding only platforms too. Our goal is to be the best in the world at event inspiration and get known for that. This is the place you go to get inspired. We don't, as much as traffic you can get from wedding dresses, we're not about wedding dresses. We're just not. That's not who we are. Our ambition is to be kind of the Vogue of event design, to be kind of like a house, but for the events industry. And so that's a more platform approach versus a magazine approach. And we all know what's happening to the magazines. Their print advertising has dropped 95% over the last 5 years. So the writing is on the wall. I'm not saying all magazines are going to go away, because I like my People magazine as an example. There are magazines that that
Right.
will stay, but very few are going to make it. Too expensive. People, where do people spend time? Internet, digital. That's where they're spending time.
Yeah, they asked Wayne Gretzky, the great one, the greatest
Yeah.
hockey player of all. He said, "I was successful not because I went to where the puck was, but that I went to where the puck was going to be."
Yes.
And I think, Party Slate I see as kind of the future of planning events, and a new
Yeah.
way to maybe I don't have to just do endless Google searches, that I can find what I need there. And I think
Yeah.
it's really, really an interesting thing. One thing, of
Yeah.
course, we do want to talk about, obviously, is the giant COVID situation, which has
Yes.
decimated the events industry.
Yes.
And we've lost, we've moved all the, basically since the end of February, all the weddings to next year. People have
Yeah.
canceled or done smaller things. It is something that has affected every wedding vendor, in different
So
degrees.
tough.
And it has
Yes.
been devastating and certainly upsetting for brides and grooms that have been dreaming about their wedding and planning their wedding, for years and years. And here's this date, and it just randomly happened to pick, this incredible year. So I know that you're in touch with a lot of wedding professionals, brides and grooms from all over the country,
Yep.
and maybe you can share some of the things that you've experienced, that you hear people talking about from dealing with this.
Yeah, I mean, it's heartbreaking. When the pandemic first hit, I was in Las Vegas at the special event, and it was kind of like, is it safe to be here? Is it not safe to be here? And then the whole world shut down like the next week. And what we quickly went into, I don't want to say crisis mode, but how do we help this industry? Remember I was talking to people in Vegas, like I just lost $2 million in revenue. Like it was like, it felt like September 11th, but in a very different way. It felt like this was going to be a prolonged, very difficult time for the events industry. So just to quickly talk about what we did, we went into how can we help the industry. Within a week, we launched a digital marketing weekly kind of webinar to help the industry build stronger digital brands while they're at home. And it could be something they do that was on their to-do list for years, but they never got to it. How to use LinkedIn, how to better get more out of Instagram, of course, Partyslate advice too. And so we're on week 35 of that. So that's one thing I'm really proud of. But what I'm hearing from the industry is, because of vaccine, and now we have our first shipment of vaccine out, that people feel really confident about the fall, and some even about the summer, that events will return. Will large scale expos in Vegas return in September? I don't think so. But I think the 100 person plus events in September plus October, November are going to come back and come back very, very strong. So what I hear from New York, LA, Chicago, the kind of the locked down cities, is that September is where large scale, they feel comfortable with large scale events. And even weddings, June, July, August, that are maybe 100 people or smaller. I'm not hearing like 500-person events. Some people, depending what city you live in, are doing that. But I feel like it's a fall recovery. And 2022 will be kind of like the Roaring 20s. I think that's what people feel like. People are going to want to celebrate. They're going to want to dance. They're going to want to hug each other. And 2022 is going to be a fantastic year. I don't think it's going to be like without bumps, coming back in. There's companies that are doing COVID testing now. Even the cost is dropping. So I think there's a lot of things until that time, like let's say March through the summer, that maybe some events can come back, but with some things like COVID testing on site or other ways to make people feel safe.
Yeah, I do think the Roaring Twenties thing is definitely going to be something.
Yeah.
It's going to be such an incredible release and for celebration. And I also think that the tone of weddings is going to be less based on fads and trends, but more things that are more meaningful for people. And doing more personal touches, I think, is going to be that much more valuable. And I think we've really, some people that have lost some relatives or and experienced, maybe they've had it and they've suffered physically, even though they survived it. It's something where people are going to be like, you know what? Maybe not having this color lamp is not going to be the end of the world, but if we can have the band learn some special song or we can add some personal touch, I think people will definitely want to celebrate and party as much as they can. But I think people, the search for meaning, I think life is, people just took everything for granted. And now with this, it just shook everything up. Like, oh my God, stuff we took for granted, right? And
I mean, we really believe, inspired events inspire people. And when you talk about meaning, one thing that no matter, what happened in this whole pandemic, everyone has experienced it differently. But I think it's those treasured relationships, and it might be family that lives across the country that you don't see enough, or, your parents that you can't hug. I really do think creating family memories and connections and new types of celebrations might come back, like family reunions and other things. I think people really want to be together, and I think they're going to find new ways to celebrate. And back to the Roaring 20s, maybe that milestone birthday for 40th or 50th, you weren't going to do something, and maybe you are now because you really want to see everyone, and you've missed a year and a half of celebration. So, and I also think there's going to be combined celebrations. So I know people that were supposed to have a bar bat mitzvah, and they're pushing it out, and they're going to combine it with a 8th grade graduation. So grad mitzvah, there's going to be combinations where, you celebrate, well, we didn't get to do this, so we're going to do that, and we're going to do it together and make it even bigger. So I think the industry is going to recover. I just feel for everyone that is hurting right now, and it's not going to be like, oh, the vaccine's here at overnight, my business is back to normal. It's going to probably be a, 12 to 18 months, pretty challenging recovery. But I think people are excited to get back out there and celebrate.
I agree. And maybe I like your idea about combining the events there. That could be fun. So maybe like a dog's birthday party and a bar mitzvah could be a bark mitzvah you could have.
As a new dog owner, I think that's a great idea.
Right. Muzzle tov, for Jewish things. Okay, we could go on and on. But I absolutely think that we will be searching for a new way to celebrate and more opportunities we can to celebrate and to hug people. And I think the events industry right now, a lot of people are re-examining, their marketing, and they're re-examining their business and their employees, and finding some ways to help people out, and realizing what kind of marketing, really does work, and that kind of connection is so important.
Yeah, and I always say, again, it goes back to the consulting experience that I have and working with some of the biggest brands and companies in the world for many years before I started Partyslate is, the one thing I suggest is when you really think about your digital strategy, just create a kind of a one-page document that includes kind of your vision and mission for your company and, what you're setting out to do, what your brand stands for, what you, I know you do all these memorable gifts and all these special touches, but, what does it stand for? What's your personal brand about? So for me, I love doing digital education. I really love helping female founders, both tech and in the industry. It makes me happy to help people grow their businesses. And then I'm also a connector in the industry, and I like doing things like this, and I like introducing people, and gives me joy to do that. And I've always been like that, even before when I was doing parties when I was 23 and being the social mayor of Chicago. Like, I just like connecting people. That makes me feel good that I'm helping people. And so you want to think about, what are these things that get you excited, and how do you market that? How do you create content around it that's authentic, that's interesting, that's valuable? I love doing conversations like this because I think it's important that it's a form of content marketing, right? So you're going to share it on social media. There's people that are attending it live. There'll be people that attend to the recording. Creating content is marketing. And so you want to think about, how do you create content that tells your story, that helps build your personal brand, but also the brand of your company. And so write it down. I have templates. If anyone on this call or anyone is watching this, Julie@partyslate.com, I can send you a simple one-page template. You don't have to write, like a 30-page, McKinsey report. Just literally one page. Write it down. And then what are the things you're going to do to start creating content that amplify what your brand is about? And I think people would be surprised how much content you can create without writing a blog entry. So whether it's an Instagram live that you're doing, and again, even if it's only 10 people on that Instagram live, that you can save that video, you can save it, you can write an article about the interview that you did. You can create content in many ways that don't require you to be this prolific writer doing huge blog entries.
I think that that's really important, having that mission statement, that overall concept of what you're about. Because if you try to imitate other people, if there's some other giant music company, then they do things their way. If I try to, I would just look like a weaker version of that. In the same way that if you turn Partyslate into a kind of, which is another version of the Knot, you're going to lose that battle.
People have asked us, will you add jewelry? Will you add fashion? And we say, no, that isn't, we might get less traffic, but our goal is, and our mission is to be the event inspiration platform, connecting people, planning these events to the amazing creative community that we have that's called the event industry. So that is our mission. We're staying very, very close. We're staying in our swim lane. And we also don't want the mass market. And again, there's nothing wrong with a backyard wedding. In fact, you can do a beautiful professionally planned backyard wedding. I've seen them during COVID, which is amazing. We are not a do-it-yourself website. There is Etsy and Pinterest and other resources for do-it-yourself. We're about really inspired events and connecting you with the best professionals to bring that to life. And so we have a good sense of who we are. We're not just, Mindy Weiss celebrity weddings, but we're also not a, go to Party City and put this together yourself, inspiration platform.
And I think for a lot of people, especially if you've been in business, I mean, we're starting on our 21st year, is that, maybe it's good to sit down and think about that. Maybe it's something you've never really thought about, and the best way to do that is to read your reviews. See what people are consistently saying about your company and what they loved about your company, what makes you unique. Or people that have hired you recently say, why did you choose us over another band or another florist or something? And then take that identity and, like the interview with the CEO of Southwest Airlines, and they have the cheapest fares. And people say, like, why don't you have, full meals? Well, does that fit? It goes back to that mission statement. Does this fit into that? If it doesn't, then you get rid of it. It doesn't matter how wonderful of an idea it is. If it, if McDonald's started serving, steak dinners, it wouldn't make any sense.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
and if
You got to
and
stay true to your brand, and to stay
yes,
true to your brand, you've got to write down what your brand is all about. And again, it doesn't need to be a fancy brand strategy document. Just what do you stand for? What do you care about? How are you different? Really think through those things and then lean into those. And that's how you build an authentic brand, not a copycat brand. And I think you can tell when someone's just trying to copy someone else. It doesn't feel people, even when I look at styled photo shoots, you can tell it's not a real event. And I'm not saying it's bad to do styled photo shoots. I'm just saying it's not the same as a real event. So you want that authenticity. And what we've tried to do on the Partyslate profile is, bring all that to life. Tell your story about your company, introduce your team. People buy from people. You have frequently asked questions, but most importantly, tell the story of your events. And so when you post your event, we're pretty much the only platform that allows you to write a description about it. And the description is not only great for search engine optimization, it's telling the story of the event. And whether it's a couple's story, or whether it's a product launch, or whether it's a fundraiser for cancer research, whatever the story is of that event, that's how you tell your story. And that's how you reinforce how you're different and what your brand is all about. So, when you have a great event, I always like to compare it to, like, you don't just show the photos, like you're in an elevator, like look at the photos, you talk about it. You say something about it. Like, even if it's only 2 or 3 sentences, oh, this event last weekend, blah, 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 whatever it is about that amazing event, that's what you want in the digital presence too. And so I always say on Instagram, don't underestimate the post, what you write about the photo, because the photo isn't everything. And on Partyslate, don't underestimate that event description of bringing those photos to life.
Yeah, and people, it is our natural ability. We still want, doesn't matter how old we get, we still want our grandmother to read us a story.
Yeah.
It is our natural instincts that we love. We are naturally attracted to stories. So,
Yes.
and you can do that, for you guys, for your businesses too. And not just say, like, we go above and beyond for our clients. You can tell an example. Like, we had
Yeah.
a couple that met at the University of Richmond in biochemistry class. And so I called the university, I got a hold of their professor, and I bought the version of the textbook they used when they took that class together 6 years ago. And I
Amazing.
brought the textbook to the wedding, and all their 320 guests signed the textbook, and we gave it to them as a gift.
That's amazing. And those type of things they'll never forget. Never forget. Yeah. And I think that the Instagram stories, you can tell about that, and the memories that you've created. Those are the types of things that are really, really great for storytelling. And people remember stories. Like, they don't remember facts as much as they remember stories, because they're visualizing it in their head. And that's what we say, is just tell a great story about your company, how you're different, and really importantly, about these incredible events that you're producing. There is a nugget of a story in every event, and you just got to find it and you got to tell it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important for couples to look for unique ways that, especially as we talked about earlier, to find more meaning in their own weddings. And for every company that's been around a period of time, there's a reason why you've been around so long, is that you're doing things that help those clients get what they specifically need, because people are interested in what you do to the extent that it helps them. All the awards and stuff, that's nice and everything, but how does that make them have a better wedding or a better experience? So it's important for us to kind of translate that to what we can do to help people.
And the other thing, that the other insight that we've had on building your brand is your connections in the industry. I've never worked in a more connected industry in my entire life. So I've worked in financial services and retail, back to my consulting days. And when I got into this industry, I was kind of the client. So I was planning all these parties, but I wasn't in the industry before Partyslate. And what I realized is that referrals flow freely within this industry. So you have these friends you work with, and but they can refer a huge client to you. But also, to make an event come to life, you have to collaborate. And if you can't work together and collaborate, it's not going to work, and then no one's going to win, and the client's not going to be happy. And so really, it's almost like to survive, you have to have these close relationships. And so what we've tried to do at Partyslate is expand those relationships that you build, and amplify them. So for example, David, you probably work with the top venues in Chicago. We want to make sure when they go to the profile page of those top venues in Chicago, your name is linked to that you, through your crediting, you don't have to type it in, but through your crediting and your actual events, that you've worked at the Four Seasons, you've worked at Loft on Lake, I see them here, you've worked at all these incredible venues. You want to make sure that they have that connection. So when an engaged couple is doing research and they've picked their venue, they often pick their venue first, they can use that as a resource list. Like, oh, wow, these bands, have worked here, or these planners know my venue. That's a great referral source, connecting yourself to those really powerful venues.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the great things about Partyslate is the connection between all the vendors, as opposed to individual, this is my profile, this is Jim's profile, this is Larry's.
Yeah.
And the connection between those, I think, is super important. And I think,
and I love LinkedIn, like for personal connections. I think that's great too. But we're trying to talk really more about, think about it from a consumer's perspective. They don't know the individual people, but they do know, like, oh wow, this is a list of planners that have worked at this venue. That's pretty powerful connections, and we want to expose those and help the people planning find those right people that know. And you might say, like, well, it doesn't matter, I can play at any venue, it doesn't matter. That may be true, but the research we've done over and over again is they like to know that their venue. They just do. And I've heard that from photographers too. I can shoot anywhere. But do you shoot here, or have you shot at the venue I've selected? They want to know that.
And absolutely. And once again, it all comes back to, how does what you do help solve my problem? And if we keep saying that, it's really important. And another, unique way to kind of connect with other vendors too is, instead of being like, here's my card, help, call me. We like, what can I do to help you? And how can we create something great together? Like, we just started a thing called Play It Forward. So now when anybody books us for their big wedding, we turn around and do a small micro wedding for free for a couple that's really been through a lot. Like if they had a family member or a friend that passed away with COVID, or they really suffered financially and stuff. So we will provide a smaller ensemble for their music. And now I offered that, and now I've got photographers, video people, venues. Jill here from Loft on Lake has contributed. So all these other vendors are contributing to do this. So now we've just booked a few things. And so now we're looking for couples that have gone through a lot. And so we can all benefit on something together. And I think the more you can share with people, then everybody really wins.
I agree. And I think these collaborations that happen within the industry create stronger relationships. Again, referrals happen, trust is built. It's all good things. And that's why we can't wait to go back to our in-person events, because that was a big part of Partyslate. So those aren't going away. We'll continue doing virtual events. That's just going to be layered on top of everything we do. But we're definitely going to be going back and doing premium member events, doing new city launches, educational events. We're clearly a big believer in in-person live events, and we only think virtual technology and platforms will add. It will be additive. It will not be replacing in-person events. I think all of us can agree. I'm always like, I want to get out of here. Like, I don't want to be on a computer screen all day. I don't. I want to be in person. I want to be inspired. I want to have connections. I want to build relationships. And although this may be the next best thing, it's not the same as in person.
Absolutely.
So I think this industry is going to continue to grow. I'm very optimistic, and I'm not naive to know that it's going to be a road to get there, but we're going to get there together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just really miss seeing my friends and seeing my clients, and Zoom calls are great, but I'd rather be, sitting across the table from you, Julie, and like seeing the dog and everything, and we all need that as people. So we have to,
we do. We're human beings. We need connection.
There's a certain
in our DNA.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. So we will, like you said, the end of 2021 and 22, and moving forward from there, it's going to be an exciting renaissance, I think, with our society of taking a deep breath because I don't know about you, but I'm exhausted from this year. It's just been,
It's been emotionally draining. And
yes.
again, I feel good about how much we've done for the industry, free education every single week. It takes a lot of time for our team to pull these together. And I am really proud of the value that we've added. I've gotten incredible feedback. We think that, again, content also builds our brand. So we're doing it also to be relevant in this really challenging time. But I also feel really good that we've helped people, kind of demystify all the digital content creation, digital marketing things you can do that are not that time consuming and can really help make you more relevant during this time and moving forward. So
Absolutely. And that is the trick, is that you see a lot of websites, they were obviously designed by somebody who maybe lives in their mom's basement or doesn't really socialize with other people. And that's the tricky thing. You can see really technical websites, but I think what's great about, what you've done, Julie, and your team is to make Partyslate, the highest technology, but you're not even aware of any of the technology.
Yeah, it
All
disappears.
you're doing,
Great technology disappears and you don't see it. But, some people ask, well, are you considered a tech company? I'm like, what? I have like 10 tech people. Like, this is a piece of software that we're building, but the best technology disappears. You only see the technology if something goes wrong. And so we believe the most elegant tech is just a great user experience. So if you think about like Airbnb and these other great websites, my goal is to have Partyslate be that beautifully simple user experience for people so that they can find these great ideas and find the best professionals. And then for the industry, just simplify how you create a really strong digital presence, make it easier.
and one of the great things you mentioned earlier, Julie, was that you can get inspiration, not just from, if let's say you're redesigning your website or you're working on your marketing, you can get it from, looking at Toyota. You can look at from Apple or from, whatever, a watch company. What do you like about this ad or this website or how they approach things, how they communicate, and take those ideas and be like, wow, well, I can make this apply, fits into what I'm doing. Don't get stuck just in the wedding industry or the events.
Exactly. And we find people like to look at corporate events, and brides and grooms like to look at corporate events, and bar and bat mitzvahs, like the fun interactive stations and the creative colors. And so we think inspiration can not only come from different types of events, but you're right, like, just anywhere. It can come from anywhere. I think a lot of people look at home design and other things. So, we just want to provide an easy way to give people new ideas, both the industry and people planning the parties. And again, I love when I'm doing an event and there's people like, oh my God, did you see that Samora station? Or, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I just think life is short, and creating these experiences to make people happy or smile and maybe escape a little bit from the challenges and the stresses of the day to day is just a really good feeling. So we love this industry, as you can tell. I feel so lucky to be part of this industry.
There are a lot of amazing people that are really contributing a lot to making people happy.
Yeah, and they're local jobs. They're never going to be shipped out. Like, they're good jobs. They're creative jobs. It's not like, oh, are these going to be shipped offshore? Like, these are great local jobs that are creative, that are fun, that are helping people celebrate. So
and that's really what it's all about, is finding out, doing some inventory about what is your company all about, how can you uniquely contribute, and everybody has different things to offer. We actually donate all the wedding flowers after the weddings we play for. We take them to nursing homes and homeless shelters, and some of my best experiences have been sitting down with some senior citizen and talking about the wedding we played last night, and talking about, and it just, there's, as much as we love the events themselves, there's other things that you can contribute to those events and to things outside that that are going to be authentic for you. And it doesn't have to work for anybody else. So I really liked what Julie, what you were saying about sitting down, instead of watching some cat playing the piano videos today, sit down and write your mission statement.
I finished The Crown already, so okay, I have
my
Netflix done.
I'm
not saying you should watch your shows. You should watch your shows, but put an hour in your calendar and really write down and again, I'm happy to send you a template. We have a lot of really great planning things that we do. Google it, brand strategy, one page, what you stand for, mission, vision, and also core values. I think that's really important too, what your company stands for. If you're a company of one, it's probably less important, but I think you should write it down, what you stand for, what people can expect from you. That will help you in everything you do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Julie, for being on the
Thank
program.
you.
I remember your first initial, when you came to Chicago, you had an event, I think it was at Shea, and you were so excited.
Yeah.
You brought some people, and I remember your enthusiasm, and you've really done an incredible job. So congratulations.
Thank you
And
so much. And we
you
know we have a far way to go. We're just
yeah,
getting started. We always love anyone who has feedback for us or ideas. That's how we continue to grow and add more value to both sides of our market. So thank you for having me. And I love your storytelling around those personalized gifts. I think that's just so creative that you do that. I don't know other people that do that. And I love, it just represents so many things that are right about these experiences, about creating these memories. That are, you could just give flowers, but no, you're giving something that's really personal, that they will cherish forever. So I love that.
yeah, and that just kind of fits into, I've always kind of been that way. So I just kind of naturally, I never really thought about it as something, oh, this would be an itch. I just started doing it. And I've been
Yeah,
doing it
that's
for
the
20
best
years.
way to do it, is it? And
Because
then
it's like, that's kind
yeah,
of who I just like that kind of fun
yeah,
stuff. And I think it's, and everybody's got different things to offer. And that's what makes
yeah.
everything, go along. And so that's the fun thing about it. So all of you guys, be sure to go to partyslate.com. And Julie, what's your email address? You'd given it earlier again?
Julie@partyslate.com. And I wanted to give one last pitch on our
Sure.
digital event series. We have a 2-day big conference coming up tomorrow and Thursday, called The Main Event. 2 days of speakers, 2 days of digital education. It is free for the industry. We also have some party hosts and brides and grooms joining as well. So we're expecting a big show.
Great. That sounds wonderful. Any last closing words of inspiration and wisdom to all the struggling wedding vendors out there?
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is, I like to say sometimes I say I'm an experienced founder, which just means I'm old. I've been through September 11th. I've been through the financial crisis. And I think one thing I know for sure is together we will recover, and come back stronger than ever. It's just going to be a long road to get there. And I think without vaccine, I think I might be like under the table crying right now. But with vaccine, no, just kidding.
Right.
With vaccine, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and this will be behind us within the next 12 months.
Yeah, and I heard a quote from a nurse who who was one of the first people to get the virus shot, and she said that she was injected with hope today.
Oh, great. I'm jealous. I'll be the first in line whenever I can
Yeah,
get it.
absolutely. And I think that's something that you guys are not alone. All of you, all my
Yeah.
vendor friends out there, you're not alone. There's a lot of people dealing with a lot of the same problems. So reach out to people, call people you haven't talked to in a
Yeah.
while. Join this our unplanned Facebook page. You can reach out to me if you need to, david@drsmusic.com. And our website is drsmusic.com. And you can see some of the fun gifts that we've done for some other people, get some different ideas. But we are here to help. There's a lot of people that really care about you guys. You're not alone sitting at your desk trying to figure this out. And Julie has been very generous with her time and the stuff that Partyslate is doing. And I'm here to help. Julie's here to help. And there's thousands of people, not just in your own town, but across the country, vendors that are dealing with it.
We're all going through this together.
Yeah, and we will get
our
out
business has
of
been
this.
impacted. Yeah, we're going to get out of it.
And we will
come
be
back
celebrating
stronger than
in
ever.
person, hugging each other, and
Can't wait.
laughing about 2020 and what was that all about. So so thanks so much again, Julie. I really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you, David.
Always a pleasure. And for all of you, stay in there, stay strong, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.